me ask you something. Like, if today you lost that source of income, or if maybe your boss called you and they're like, you should not report tomorrow, or maybe your business that you're running, it comes to an end and you don't have your active income, how long would you be able to comfortably survive or live or pay for your living expenses? Like, would it be 1 week? Would it be 2 weeks? Would it be 1 month? Like, what is the answer? I know at this particular point, you are also scared of even hearing that, most of us, because we don't even have some savings set aside that can be able to support us in case this have happened. Now, I want to introduce the aspect of what financial freedom is. The fact that you're so scared about it means that you don't have the financial freedom. Today, I want us to have a conversation around financial freedom. What is this financial freedom? How does it look like? How do I start on my financial freedom journey? And actually do the nitty-gritties of knowing how far we are with our financial freedom journey. Hi guys, welcome again to another episode of Financial Literacy. My name is Jen Dishu and I'm a financial advisor. So the first thing I want us to discuss is, what is financial freedom? So I know there's so many explanations of financial freedom looks like this. Financial freedom is about money, is about having assets, it's about having maybe wealth, it's about having so many things, other sources of income. And today I want us to really agree, what is this freedom we are talking about? Do we have a measure of it? So financial freedom is equally like having options. That's actually what we mean. I know you're wondering, what do I mean by choices? So this is what I mean in this context, like waking up and you don't have to worry about money. You know, like you waking up and you're not worried about like maybe how are you going to fund your expenses, and knowing that your expenses will be catered for even if you work or you don't actually work. It also looks like quitting that toxic work environment because you have the choice of not being there, because you don't really depend on that source of income purely. So you have the options of having the life that you're looking for. So I would really say that financial freedom equals to having options and actually having the peace of mind. So at this particular point, do you think you're financially free, or do you think you're not financially free? Let's get into it. I know at this particular point, you're assuming for you to be financially free, you have to have a lot of wealth or you have to have a lot of riches. And let me tell you, bring you back, that we have people who have wealth, but they're actually not financially free. This is what I mean. We have like people who have or own idle pieces of land or idle investments. Like for example, you have 3 homes that actually don't generate any income. You have maybe pieces of land that are worth 100 million that they're not even giving you any income. At the end of the day, you are going to work to make sure that you make ends meet. Yes, you have this 100 million set aside assets or wealth, which is not generating the passive income. So equally, having the wealth or having the 100 million in form of land is not actually going to give you the freedom, because you'll have to wake up every morning to go to work to get that income. Now, for the riches, you can have a good car, you can have a good home on mortgage, you can be, you're not paying rent and other things, but you have to go to work because maybe whatever amount of money that you require to sustain your life or to pay for your expenses cannot come from your riches. Like there's so many cars that you have, maybe there's so many homes that you have. So you can have the assets, you can have the riches, you can have the wealth, but basically the freedom comes in where you have an income that you're getting passively or not actively. Now let's get to the numbers, because I know at this particular point you're asking, am I financially free, or how do I know that I'm financially free? Let's get to the numbers. So if maybe your living expenses are 50,000 Kenya shillings, like you require 50,000 Kenya shillings in a given month to run your life, that's translates to a near 600,000 Kenya shillings. Now, this means that your numbers for your living expenses are at 600,000 per year. So financial freedom looks like having that 600,000 Kenya shillings coming from your investment purely. So for example, if you're looking for financial freedom, that looks like you having an investment. Like for example, we can say maybe you have a portfolio or an investment that is giving you 10%. That means you should have like 6 million worth of investments that are giving you 600,000 Kenya shillings. And these 600 Kenya shillings per month is 50,000 Kenya shillings. Have you gotten my mathematics? Have you gotten what I really mean? So at this particular point, you are not worried because your expenses are catered by your investment or your passive investment. So you don't have to work because you have 50,000 coming purely from your investment. So financial freedom is actually having passive income from your investments or your passive investment. Now, when you know that you have hit that level of financial freedom is where your investments are giving you over and above So now when you know that you have hit the pro level of financial freedom is where your investments are actually giving you more than your living expenses. So if your living expenses are 50,000 and your passive income from your investment is maybe 100,000, which is double the amount of money, that means that you have hit the pro level. So that means you have investments worth of 12 million. They're giving you the 10%. So you have the 1.2 million per year, and that translates to 100,000 per month. So that is now what we call that is what we call financial freedom. So when you already know that I don't have to wake up every morning to go to work, but I do that because it's not because I'm worried about my money. It's more of I'm trying to build more of my wealth, build more into the investment, and build more on my financial freedom. So when you are talking about I'm looking into cultivating financial freedom, you're looking at replacing your active income with passive income from your investment. So our goal at this particular point, we're not looking at how many pieces of land we have. We're not looking at how much that we are maybe earning from our current employer or our active businesses. We are actually concentrating on those passive income, growing them to a point where if I need 100,000 to survive in a month, that is actually sorted. If maybe I need 30,000 per month for my kids' school fees, that is sorted by my board portfolio. So I know at this particular point, you're like, Jane, okay, now I have done my calculation. This is what I need. This is where I need to start. Now tell me, Jane, where do I start? So I'm going to give you 4 simple steps on how you can start your financial freedom journey. And in case at this particular point you have not subscribed to my channel, make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and share with your loved one and people around you so that they can be able to learn what financial freedom is and they can be able to work on their financial literacy and their money matters. Now, let's get to the steps. Step number 1 is to have a budget. I know it looks like cliche. I know I have done a whole video. I don't know how many videos that I've done on budgeting. And at this particular point, you all know, before you even start on anything, on any money journey, you need to look at how you're spending your money. You need to be accountable on how your money is going out. You need to take the control. I always say that budgeting is actually taking control of your finances. It's telling your money what to do for you and not waiting for your money to tell you what to do for you. Like, you get the sense. So if you're not budgeting, you're actually not in control. If you're budgeting, you're in control. And I mean, budgeting is not writing down your expenses. It's not like taking a notebook, writing down your expenses, my rent, my this, my this. It's not about that. It's actually sitting down and having a directive way of, I'm going to pay this amount of rent. This represents this percentage of my income. This is what I have in the wants category, in the needs category, and in my savings and investment category. A budget is going to tell you like how your financial situation looks like. You actually don't need to audit on anything. It's not an income problem. Sometimes it's your money habits. This is where you know what kind of a person you are. Are you generous? Too generous? Do you have black tax? Are you living beyond your means? A budget is strictly going to give you that direction. And at that particular point, you already have control of how much goes to your needs, wants, and also savings and investments. In case you don't know how to budget, I have done a whole YouTube video on how to budget. You can be able to watch that. I'm going to leave the link on the description below. And definitely the basic way and the basic rule is the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. 50% to your needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% to your savings and investments. But if you can be able to interchange your needs to your savings and investment, the easier it becomes for you to build the other steps that I'm going to mention. The second step is to make sure that you have a solid emergency fund. Let me tell you, before you even think of starting your investment journey, you need to think of those days when you don't have that income. You need to think of those days when there is another COVID. So an emergency fund is like a shield, is like that thing that really calms the storm in case of anything happening. It can be maybe financial distress. It can be that you have so many expenses. It can be medical emergencies. It can actually be maybe a job loss. So many things that can actually be able to happen. So having a solid emergency fund is the second step after budgeting. Now, how do you know that you have a solid emergency fund? I have also discussed a whole YouTube video around emergency planning. I'll kindly make sure that you watch on the same, but I want to just mention, when you're starting on your emergency fund, I always say it doesn't have to be boring. You don't have to really choke yourself on the neck and say that you have now to save money for emergency. It's something that is actually gradual. You start with like 3 months of your living expenses. So if maybe you need 50,000 to survive in a month, you can start with 3 months worth of emergency fund. That's 150,000, and then you get that to 6 months. That's 300,000. And if you can be able to get that to 1 year, the better, because you have the options of choosing. You have the options of being able to cater for your expenses, and you have time to rethink in case you're quitting on something. So having a solid emergency fund is a must now. The third step is making sure that you're working on increasing your income or having multiple sources of income. I know this now sounds like a cliche. Learn a skill, start a side hustle, make sure that you are negotiating a higher pay, move from jobs to job. You don't have to stay with your current employer. Actually, if you can be able to get a better offer, best believe that company does not need you. It doesn't need you. You can actually be able to take those skills in a better place, be well compensated for the hours that you spend in whatever skill that you're giving in that company, negotiate for a higher pay, start a side hustle. Maybe you can start selling a skill, you can start selling products online, you can start maybe capitalizing on your hobbies. Like, it's so many things that you can be able to monetize: talents, hobbies, and other things that you have learned on the way, skills. Like, it's more, we're in a digital world. Like, whatever I'm doing here, if I am able to monetize this content, that's a side hustle that I have already started. So basically, you can have fun when you're creating this side hustle. It doesn't have to look like the previous ways of, if you have to do a side hustle, start selling something. It's very hard. Maybe I don't have the customer service, but there's so many other ways you can be able to enjoy and make sure that you have multiple streams of income. And if it's not multiple streams of income, increase on your current income, negotiate for higher pay, go for that maybe degree, bachelor, or maybe go for that master's, negotiate for higher pay. If it's maybe a certification that you need to take, maybe a certificate in professional accountancy, a certificate in financial advisory, take that certificate and negotiate for higher pay. Move if it's moving outside the country. Like, make sure that you're capitalizing on having more money. At this particular point, when you increase on your income, reduce on your expenses, and make it constant so that you're able to achieve step number 4, which is now the most important part. This is where we are getting the financial freedom. Now, this is where you save and invest. This is where you're saving for your future goal, having sinking fund for your kids' education, making sure that you know how you're going to educate your kids, making sure that you have planned for that vacation so that you don't only withdraw from maybe your account where you have started maybe your emergency planning. You don't have to borrow if you don't need to. Maybe you have planned to own that car on your home mortgage or your home ownership plan. So this particular category is where you're trying to allocate or buy that freedom, or having the luxury of knowing that I have let off that stress, and now I know I have taken control of my finances, so I don't have to really worry about this thing. Now, investing is where you have a fund going now to buying the financial freedom. This is where now you accumulate maybe your 1 million, take that 1 million into bonds, take that 1 million maybe into shares, take that 1 million maybe into Mansa X. We have so many investments that you can actually be able to invest in. And now, when you start the investment journey, this is actually a sign that now you're going to get passive income, where now you are sleeping and you're making money. This is what now we call it. But now, for you to master these two things, you have to have a very clear goal, financial goal, and 2, a system where your savings are automated. Any money that is supposed to go to your investment, make it automated. If maybe you have a savings plan for your kids, make sure that it is automated. If you have savings plan for your retirement, make sure it is automated. If you are saving towards your investment kitty, make sure that is automated. If you don't have that and you miss on that, it's going to be very hard to achieve financial freedom, because discipline is very hard, guys. I always say money relationship is something we did not learn in school. So our money interaction somehow might be something new, because we actually don't know what to do. So we really struggle with discipline because we don't have the knowledge. And then at the end of the day, to cultivate the discipline, it's the hardest thing you might have to do. But anyway, the good thing is, when you automate, you have the end of it. And now, when you create the savings and investment, they go hand in hand into protecting your savings and investment. This is where we have insurance. This is where you have medical insurance, or where you have maybe your car insurance, you have a domestic package, you have a life insurance, you have an estate plan, you have a trust fund, to just make sure that your options around your savings and investment, they're actually protected. You have actually transferred that risk. In case it happens to you, you don't have to worry about compensations and such things. So after you have done this process, process, or in case you don't know where to start in your savings and investment, and even on how maybe to start in protecting your savings and investment, I can be able to offer you a free discovery call. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram page, access my calendar there, and you can book a free discovery call where we walk through on the savings and investment, your financial goals, and the insurance packages that can actually work within your budget. Make sure that you take advantage of that. And in case you're able to follow these 4 steps, believe you me, financial freedom for you is going to be so easy because you have the mastery. You know where you're headed. You already know how to take control of your finances. So it's not rocket science. It's a process that has 4 steps. And guys, I want to tell you guys that I have just launched my masterclass. In case you would want to join my financial freedom masterclass, where we discuss these 4 simple steps into financial freedom, and where we are able to have a conversation on the depth of the options that you have around these free steps, make sure to also follow me on my Instagram page. You can access the payment detail and make your bookings. Cannot wait to have all of you enroll. I hope you have enjoyed this content. And in case you have learned something, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and share so that, guys, you are always notified when I post this content. And until next time, thank you.